Thanks, Dr. Abla, for excellent timekeeping. Exactly 10 minutes, which is going to give us a chance to merge the two sessions and to come up with outcomes, whether from the speakers or the experts amongst the audience, which will maximize the benefits for everyone involved. The ECES study that is commissioned and going to be conducted by the ECES is going to be very beneficial. In February 2017, the High Council for Tourism commissioned the study. To examine how much Egypt benefited from opening the skies for tourism or for perishable commodities, including agricultural produce, and also the supplementary services, whether in the other services or the other establishments, and which sectors within the aviation are going to be affected. If the beneficiaries outnumber those affected, then it should be taken into serious consideration. We are going to go ahead with the questions, the pros and cons of liberalizations, apart from the increase in the passenger traffic. Can I start with the pros? Other than the increase of passenger traffic, the Egyptian company for airports is going to be #1 beneficiary, and by which I refer to all Egyptian airports. I do not agree with what has been said before, that all of our airports have open skies, or that landing is optional for any charter flight. However, some restrictions remain in place. We still face the same restriction. We asked for the seventh freedom that imposes $4,000 on each flight. The Civil Aviation Authority has been imposing the same royalty fees in other companies, and I wanted to see who are the benefits and who are the beneficiaries and who are the losers. We are one of the rare exceptions that impose that fee, particularly for when it comes to tourism. His Excellency, the Minister of Aviation, actually grants us these questions. Or I wanted to comment on the royalty fees. Engineer Megid already said he covered the international practices and the benchmark, and Dr. Mona's comeback She said that these freedoms are not adopted internationally, they are only theoretical. Case in point is the United States, the United States and Canada with the Gulf companies impose restrictions on the freedoms on the head and Emirati Airlines. Germany, which has entered into open sky agreements, refused to grant them these freedoms to protect their companies. We are the only civil aviation uh, carrier that across the globe that imposes royalty for a company to come to Egypt or to come to Ghana. Are exceptions for a company to come from its home country and to operate domestically. This is not or to take foreigners, pick up passengers from Germany to Ghana, for example. These are exceptions. The damage here is inflicted upon the other companies as well. It is not because the air carrier is being deprived of a right and is being given to a foreign carrier. This royalty issue has been around for years. I do not know on which basis this projection has been put about the passenger and the staff. This projection takes into consideration that the personnel are going to go up. Um, does this increase apply only to Cairo? Because all of our airports are already liberalized. Are there any stage of liberalization that could be added in addition to the royalty fees? I think that this projection needs to be revisited. I do not know the hypothesis. There's also a point that was not taken into consideration after the liberalization of airports in 2005. And here I wanted the ECES to take it into consideration. The impact on passenger was huge. But where is the economic benefit? Secondly, are the scheduled flights operate for tourism? We have been approached by the Emirati airline and said that they are going to pick up passengers from India, and we told them that we're going to give you an unprecedented privilege. You can pick up the tourists and you can fly them back to their countries. So if the purpose is tourism, so the country must benefit from this tourism. Those passengers are going to come via Emirati Airlines or EMC or no, here these the regulations in place protect our companies. We do not only protect Egypt Air, we protect our other national carriers. That's why we say that the study should include the scheduled flights and how much its contribution to the tourism sector in order to see whether the decision is worthy or not. Secondly, the low-cost carriers and the passengers that come on these routes do not contribute to tourism. So the low cost actually add more consumption or are a liability on the airport, and they waste the other opportunity for the passenger that would come and contribute to the economy. Of course, the airports need an upgrade. You have 23 airports. Only 3 or 4 of them are lucrative. We open the Taba airport and we pay for the corridors, and we need 300 million Egyptian pounds in order to pave the runway, and including a radar network that costs 700 million Egyptian pounds, with only 2 suspended flights to Taba, and we're still paying for that. While other countries view these airports as an investment if they are not operational and if they are not successful and if they are not profitable, they will close it. In Marsa Alam, however, it was successful, but in Alamein, it was not up to the standard. I'm going to answer some of the questions, the privatization and the restructuring of Egypt Air. Definitely, Egypt Air needs restructuring. However, currently, I have received a proposal for Egypt Air restructuring. We are going to contract an engineering company that's going to be responsible for the process. The liberalization definitely has its upside and also a downside, but we have not been able to quantify them up until now. I cannot Egypt Air now adopts a hub strategy with its added value of higher frequencies in other routes. You find that you are opening your airports and you find a country such as Lebanon, and that says that I do not recognize your liberalization and I'm going to work according to our own restrictions. They do not all of them work on reciprocal conditions. Russia, for example, have the restriction that all the flights taking off from the country have to be on their own national carriers. So I can say that we have been relenting on some of our rights because we know that the air transport is one of the major factors and contributors to tourism. We believe in the role of the airports and the flights, and that we have taken all the necessary measures to help with the tourism. As for the civil and military coordination, there is already, but the region is laboring under lots of restrictions, such as the no-fly zones. So you have fleets in the Mediterranean, and another one because of the Yemen and because of the situation in Yemen. The general said a word that is really on point. He said that you cannot assess the situation, the aviation situation post 2010. Judging the economic impact should only look into the period of 2005 to 2010. The other study from 2010 to 2013 is not going to reflect a reality upon which we can project.
Thank you so much, and you stressed this in your study, and the center will take that into consideration as it will study more aspects other than aviation. Of course, they will calculate profit and loss for aviation and the economic value, tackling the different variables, like you mentioned, Taba Airport. Of course, you said that we do not have capacity, or it's not safe to fly over Sinai. So thank you, Dr. Abla, for adding a team for civil aviation, not only to provide the required data, which is really important, but also to update us with the latest developments. And of course, this can be done in quantitative terms to avoid tackling any confidential data. And now I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Elhamy Zayat, and 7 minutes and 10 seconds. I want to start with answering Captain Sameh. Will these scheduled airlines bring tourists? Yes. My answer is yes. But we used the wrong way to calculate. We take the baseline from poor tourists. We need to calculate differently. Cairo Airport is a main tool to promote cultural or special interest group tourism, conference tourism, and we are building many conference halls. And without involving Cairo International Airport, we will not be able to promote this kind of tourism, and low-cost carrier cannot service this kind of tourism, or the tourists will not come on low-cost carriers. Rather, they will use scheduled flights, and many of these flights have minimized their capacities after the, and now they have less chairs, less seats, and we lost many tourists. And I'm happy that we opened the skies for charter operators, not only unscheduled charters, but ad hoc charters. And of course, you cannot hold a conference without scheduled flight airlines or a support from the government, like what we do when there is a big conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, because some people travel for one-day conference or one-day meeting. That's why we need to know what is our product and how to market and sell it. We usually isolate Egypt. We always trade blaming one another, and this is not acceptable. We have not sitting for once to assess our needs or to assess the deficiencies. Um, I'm sorry to say so, but tourism and aviation antiquities work on isolated islands. And I'm talking to you because I have 40 years of experience. These ministries signed many protocols, the latest of which between the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Antiquities. What are they going to do if they don't work in a coordinated manner? Uh, a while ago, the Minister of Tourism told me to start a national charter operator, and I told him it's a waste of time because in any economic study you need to take into consideration the worst case scenario. What if a new revolution, God forbid, erupts? What if any bad circumstances happened? What if bad weather conditions prevail? Then these company will lose, and the seat is the most perishable and also the most expensive. So we need to understand the concept itself. We shouldn't take things at face value. And I also want to disagree because some countries stopped coming because of this royalty fee. 10 years ago, Egypt Air imposed 800 pounds for any additional plane, and they bring people from Greece or Sicily, I'm sorry. So, according to the third and fourth freedom, they ask Egypt Air to pay $800. And this is a real case I experienced. I was an agent for that company and then they left. So Airman Air stopped flying to Egypt 10 years ago, and they used to pay royalty fee amounting to 800 US dollars for each seat. I'm referring to this royalty fee. You should have common sense when it comes to enforcing the law. 800 US dollars is not much when it comes to Egypt Air in its own peak season. So after that, it's all about changing the system. When I refer to Turkey, I tackled one item, which is the entry visa. Do we have a tool to promote for Egypt? Turkey has many Turkish movies or soap operas, and women are really interested in traveling to Turkey. So women decide so, but we don't have something of the like. They have many travel agents here. and we don't have travel agents for New York and Canada, and Canada is really good when it comes to tourism. People really want to come, but they don't know to whom shall they talk. So London office cover London and the two Americas, Norway, Denmark. All these countries are covered by London office, and despite the problems that Latin America has, they send rich tourists from Argentina, for example. We have very bad positioning on duty free, on arrival and on departure. So all the airports all over the world, you should pass by this duty free. You cannot go to the immigration office without passing by the duty free shops. So black label whiskey bottle is for 55 US dollars. In Dubai, it's for $30, and if you buy three, you take the fourth for free. And they make more money. They make more money. If you sell more, your turnover will be higher. I'm sorry, the speaker is not using the mic. When it comes to restructuring Egypt Air, of course, staff salary has to be included. So salary and incentive should be taken into consideration. Consider any chairperson of any airline salaries, and you will laugh. They are really little paid. They are not. No, they are. Egypt Air is an international company, so an employee can relocate somewhere, and this differs from any other local company. Sorry for taking so much time. We always complain of the ever increasing ticket prices for Egypt Air. You don't know that Egypt Air pays for airport services in US dollars, for even repair and maintenance, because we insisted with all the foreign carriers to pay in dollars, so you cannot exclude yourself. Any airline have marginal passengers. So Cairo, Paris, and Paris, Cairo flight is not allowed to go to New York or Denmark. So they should cover the cost of the flight from Cairo, Paris. And in New York, they have 12 flights a day to San Francisco, to Miami, to Amsterdam. And if they have two passengers for $10, then they can sell the sector for Cairo, Paris, Cairo. And this is part of the economies of operation, and Morocco has entered into such a thing, but this needs a further study. And we need to have a holistic approach to the problem, and we should engage all the stakeholders involved. So Egypt Air, civil aviation, and antiquities, different sectors of tourism, to which I belong, of course.